Oh, I got it. Okay, today we're going to be doing a length comparison between the GTX 570 and the GTX 580. So I have two MSI cards here, and I'm going to show you how they compare in terms of length. Well, audience, first of all, why don't we have a look at the all-new GTX 570, and we will discover that it is 10.5 inches long, and then we will look at the GTX 580 to discover that it is 10.5 inches long. So this reveals something very interesting about the GTX 570, and that is that it actually uses exactly the same cooler. Almost. I noticed one small difference between the coolers. Check this out, guys. Okay, so this is the 570. See how the aluminum fin comes up a little bit closer to the vent compared to the GTX 580? I don't even know if you guys can see that. Here, I'll give you sort of a better perspective on it. Can you tell in the camera? Okay, it's hard to tell in the camera, but they do both use a vapor chamber cooler. However, it looks like the positioning of the fins, or maybe the number of fins, is slightly different. So there's a bit of intrigue for you. All right, other than that, we have two 6-pin versus a 6-pin and an 8-pin PCIe power connector. And then you're gonna find more differences on the back. Because even though they use, here, look at it this way. Even though they use the same PCB, there's actually fewer things soldered to the GTX 570 PCB. So you can see where the RAM chips are installed, there's all kinds of little components soldered onto the back of the RAM chip. So the GTX 570, which is here, has that, but not here. So there's actually blank spots where they could have potentially installed more RAM chips, used a higher bin GPU, one that has more active functional units, and that would be a 580 pretty much, as long as they put an 8-pin power connector on it. So they're very, very similar cards. Basically, you've just got lower memory bandwidth on the 570, less overall memory, and then you've got a slightly cut down or lower binned GPU. And if you're not sure what I mean by binned or binning, you should check out the NCIX Tech Tips episode where we explained the process of binning and how that works in the electronics industry.